Hello, hello. All right. First video. Let's get this. Okay, so today, I am going to be discussing the what the true definitive breakdown of UFC 320. We got Magomed versus Ankalaev, and there's just some things that I think that I wish to discuss going into this matchup that I think is some interesting key takeaways, at least from what I've noticed from their first fight, is now we have a lot of people online saying that, Alex Pereira, he's going to make the comeback, he's going to beat Magomed this time. And I just want to go more into that. So I am going to be discussing these fights as of the ones that I saw on YouTube for free. So keep in mind, uh, what can I say? I'm just a hardcore like that. So I'm gonna be judging just based off the free fights on YouTube because I'm not paying for that streaming service or whatever. So to start off though with Magomed, is this guy is way too good in the back foot, like, which interestingly enough has made his opponents, kind of want him to come forward. Uh, the fight that I'm basing it off of is the one with him versus Johnny Walker, and him versus what's his name again? Is Rakik, the fucking really tall guy. Both those guys had a very straightforward game plan, at least from what I saw. Look, say what you will about Johnny Walker, all right? He's chinny, he's all this. I'm just gonna judge off the fight basically of what he was doing, and pretty correctly. And what he was doing pretty well in that fight was he was pretty good at throwing the kicks in the beginning, and even caught Magomed. At least he landed some alright kicks on him. And the only issue with that is Magomed has now kind of changed his style as of recently a little bit. He walks a bit more forward, knowing that his defense and speed, it's just his fucking speed, man. Like, he's just so fast going, like, striking. But Magomed's game is primarily boxer. And with boxer, is you really can't give these guys, like Ilia Topuria, for example, you really just can't give these guys opportunities to get in that little pocket of striking distance. Is like, Demetrius Johnson talks about, like, the void and stuff like that. You just really don't want to be in that little void with Magomed, because I'm just going off based off his fights, and from what I've seen, he's just way too good in that little pocket of boxing range. Like, because, like, it's not even just the hands that's an issue, it's the kicks as well. He's pretty solid with landing kicks as well, which I think Alex Pereira's his main issue in the first fight was just that he was landing a lot. Like, he was landing a lot of kicks. But the problem was, though, is just that he was just letting Magomed get in that little pocket range a little too much. I think Pereira's game plan in that fight was clearly to land leg kicks and avoid the grappling, which isn't bad. Like, that's the thing though. Alex's game plan was pretty good. It was pretty close. The fight was pretty close. So I mean, you can't ultimately talk too bad about it, because I mean, it was pretty effective. But the issue was just that anytime they were in that pocket, Magomed was just so much more faster and way too defensive mind. Like, going in the notion, at least despite what Periera fans will say, I think it just seems that Magomed is the more faster boxer and more efficient one while they're in that pocket, because Periera didn't really get anything going with the fucking hands, man. It was really hard for him to do anything like with the hands. The only thing he really did well is something I'll discuss, I think, later, but he landed a decent amount of straight shots, like straight shots, jabs, and straight rights. He landed really good jabs, but those were not like when they were in the pocket. When they were in the pocket, Magomed was seeing all of it and blocking all of it and slipping out just out of the way to land his punches as well. But just, yeah, man, like, with Magomed, it seems that like you just need to either accept the decision or you need to get finished, but go with the mentality you're gonna finish him, but you can get finished as well. You need to go with that mindset, and you need to pick one or the other. I don't think you can pick both when it comes to Magomed because he's just way too good at eventually getting in that space, in that little pocket, to win, or at least enough to mitigate your skill set as well. So I think what would be a good idea training ground, I'm not saying it's easy, but just from what I've seen before, is I think a good thing for Periera to really like have the best chance of beating Magomed would probably just to kind of what he was doing in the first fight, just avoid that little pocket range. But of course, you can't really back up all the time because the other thing that Magomed was, honestly, Magomed, a problem he has is he really can't cut the cage very well. I've noticed that. Like, he doesn't exactly, with his forward aggression, he just follows you. So you could just tell he's not really as used to going forward as he is backwards. He's alright at moving forward. It's not as bad as, our boy who just got KO'd this weekend, Dominic Reyes. It's not that bad, but it's pretty alright. Like, he can't, when he goes in, his his offense is just to, it's still based off of what you're throwing. Magomed's a very defensive based striker. So you need to either completely fill that defense. To break that defense is you need to either completely acknowledge the defense, or you need to fully acknowledge the offense. There's no two ways about it because Pereira, he was doing pretty good with the leg kicks, but the issue was just he just couldn't get Magomed away from him, because once Magomed would get in that little pocket, it was just very little threat from Periera to just walk him down. Like, he was able to enter the pocket eventually after eating all those leg kicks. It's just because the leg kick game plan, purely, I think Jan exposed that was an issue, but that can't exactly just be the main thing to focus on because Ank's pressure forward is just too much eventually. So I think a good way for Periera to possibly deal with that is, again, just avoid the pocket and just during the midsection of it, of that whole thing, like of shit, how do I put this? It would just be to answer with kicks. I think try maybe teeps of his own could probably help. I don't know, because at this point I'm just speculating, because just kicks to the leg is not gonna do it. Like, this, it just gives him way too much chances to just walk him down. So the thing is, probably the only punches this guy should be throwing is jabs and straights to walk in. So kind of like how he did, actually Alex Pereira kind of exposed the weaknesses in the first fight. If he could just do that and either accept that he's just gonna go to a decision with Ankalaev, because Ankalaev's so defensively minded that I think that there's opportunities for him to slip in a decision because he's just so not used to pushing the action. So that if Pereira gets in positions that his offense would be too much, or no, his defense would be too good to stifle Magomed's advancing techniques, then he could possibly win a decent decision. And something that I think he should definitely touch more on is definitely the foot trip that he caught Ank so many times with. And he's also just got to not get caught in the cage. I know I said Magomed's not that great in getting caught in the cage, but like, getting caught near up the cage, I mean. But with that, I mean, he's definitely just got to punish Magomed coming in. Like, he has to punish him coming in. And I think a good way to do that would be the kicks and not exactly the straights, because although Magomed isn't as good moving forward, he's still super fast. So if the plan is to intercept him coming into that little pocket with a jab or a straight, that could just lead to Magomed. Kind of what he did in the first fight actually is like he would just counter that kind of counter, I guess, with moving his head from the opposite side and throwing an overhand and lead hook. Although maybe it didn't land, but it gave him an opportunity to go in more forward. So I think he's just gonna have to be very mindful of when he throws the punches, but he cannot throw them unconsciously. Like if he wants to attack, the best course to attack his kicks, but whenever he throws punches, he's got to be aware of it. He's got to be certain for sure that it's gonna work, and I think that'll be a decent way Periera could win in this one. So all right, first video over. Have yourselves going. Peace.